Just waiting for Facebook to tell me I'm live. I don't know if I am or not. Hi, everyone. Welcome to 85 Beauty. I am Keela Fowler, founder and CEO of 85 Beauty. And 85 Beauty is all about kicking intimidation to the curb and making makeup feel easy and accessible. Today, we are making makeup feel a little more impactful. And we're going to be talking specifically about white privilege and what it has to do with makeup because there is an intersection there. It plays itself, white privilege plays out in a lot of things, racism plays out in a lot of things. And I wanted us to be able to talk about it, and I have some things to share. So the first thing I'm going to do is share this out so that everyone who wants to be able to view and participate and comment will be able to do so. If you are just now joining, or at any time if you join, whether you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, make sure you say hello. Tell me where you're watching from. It's really nice to get insight about where everyone is from. And of course, if you have questions now, if you have questions throughout, you can comment and I will answer your questions. If you are feeling a little apprehensive to ask a question and you'd rather do that personally, you can just DM me personally and I will happily answer your question. I know at this point, there is a lot of conversation about not going to Black people and having them give you resources or answer all of your questions or anything like that. And I agree and I understand that. But if someone is willing and they're offering, by all means, like, receive it and accept it as long as you are ready for it. So this is an opportunity for us to have a really great conversation and then also be able to open up an opportunity for you to do some learning, even if that means that you're more comfortable just sitting back and taking in. Hey, Steph. Oh, good. You're here. Steph from Philly. Oh, how's it going there? I know there's been a lot going on with the protests. So are things active? Is it quiet? Like, is everybody okay? It's good to hear how everyone's doing. Okay, so real quick, let me share. I try to do this every time that we do a live, just so that everyone can get in here and see what's happening. Thank you for being patient while I do this. And then I'm going to put on makeup and talk through at the same time. I was already like glammed up for the whole day. And then I was thinking back and forth, do I want to put on makeup or do I want to just speak, like do my speaking points? Because I did take notes. I'm a note taker. I like to be organized. I also got some feedback from a friend when, and she said that she's been noticing lately I've been talking more freely in the same way that I do with close friends. And she feels that that's been really translating and more helpful. So I'm going to use my notes as necessary, but not really rely on them because I want to be able to talk as authentically and genuinely as possible while also making sure that there are certain resources, certain points that I want to make, so I don't want to skip over anything important. So from that standpoint, I will definitely go to the notes from time to time as necessary. Okay, so we are, I think this is working. Facebook is kind of funny that way. You share something, you're like, did it share? Did it not? Okay, we're good. Okay, so starting with the fact that I don't think this shared out. Man, I'm sorry, y'all. Facebook, like, it's tech. I've been doing tech stuff all day and it's not quite working. Thank you for being patient. This is so annoying. Okay, at this point, I'm thinking of just getting started. Okay, we're gonna start. Like, if that doesn't want to work, that's fine. Okay, so let's talk about white privilege in the context of what we're doing today. And in the context of today, what we're talking about is having an expectation that with any brand that you shop from or shop with, they are going to have something that will be close to or match your skin tone. And the reason for that is because they have been creating the products with you or someone who looks like you in mind. So if you need to have a context for understanding white privilege within today's conversation, that's what we're talking about. So this means with any given product that I'm about to show you, you are going to, in the back of your mind, automatically assume that it comes in your shade. I want to let you know that there is nothing wrong with that. So let's just start there. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. What I want you to start thinking about is the reality that that is not everyone's reality. That is not everyone's experience. And if you're a person of color, if you are Black, if you have darker skin, it is something you are always thinking about, considering, wondering when you are looking for makeup. I was talking to a friend earlier and I said, the best way that I can, like one of the ways that the analogy I can make is if you were to think about clothing, and you know how when it comes to clothing sizes, if you've never paid attention to all of the sizes that are available before, you're always just looking for your own size. However, if you are bigger, you know that you are always looking for, like, how far does this go? Like, where's the end point? Where's the highest size before they're like, we don't make anything beyond that? I have a big shoe size. I wear a size 11 women's shoe. So I know that when I go looking for shoes, I am always looking for, what is your end? Like, what's the highest size that you have? Because if it's a 10, I'm out. There's nothing for me. That's just the way it goes. And it's especially annoying because I was a size 10 from like 8th grade until college. Solid 10. And 10 was typically like the end, but I could find shoes. The moment I became an 11, it was like, oh, geez, man, like it's so hard to find shoes. I can see a friend who's wearing a pair of shoes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love those. Where'd you get those from? And they'll tell me and I'll look it up and I'm like, doesn't come in my size. That's what shopping for makeup is like for me. I will first question, how many shades does it come in? Like, where's the end? How dark do those shades get? That's the experience of most women of color who have darker complexions. It is a constant curiosity of, are they going to have something for me? And the history and reason behind that is they did not, and by they, I mean the companies, most makeup brands that either have been around for a while or some that are even newer starting out, they did not make them with me in mind. They were not like, so let's imagine there's like a 30-something professional woman with, I don't know, like a hazelnut color skin. What would she need? What is she looking for? No, that's not what's happening. So because it wasn't created for me, I have to constantly think about if I was included. Was the thought process like, let's make sure there's something for everyone? And then when you hear that, you're like, how far does everyone stretch? Because for some, it is, well, it stretches to a certain point. And then for others, it's like, well, it stretches to a certain point. And then for others, you're like, I meant everyone. Which, by the way, is gold. And we're going to talk about a certain brand that just hit the market with that. And it changed a lot because others had to follow suit. And that is one of the things that happens, is when someone is brave enough, smart enough, strong enough, thoughtful enough to think beyond a set amount of people, and they really do think of everyone, it sets the bar. It raises the bar, and suddenly people start looking over here and looking over there at the brands that they've been buying from and saying, well, what's your response? How are you going to match it? How are you going to top it? How are you going to show that it matters to you too? And often the hope is that they are going to follow suit. But sometimes, a lot of times, y'all, it doesn't happen. And you're made to wonder why. Or more importantly, what does that say about that company? And then what does that say about me and where I stand? And if you've never had to have that question, like if you've never had to consider that, I don't apologize, but I just want to let you know that that's going to change starting today. If you are really trying to do the work, a lot of people are talking about they want to do the work, they want to educate themselves, they want to get better, they want to start to see the things that they haven't been seeing. I'm just letting you know, this is when you start to see those things. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So you want to be very careful about what you expose yourself to. If you don't want to know which brands are not really inclusive and not really thinking about other people, thinking about me, people darker than me, then don't look. Like, it's just like, I don't watch scary movies because I don't want that in my brain. I'm a very visual person. I will hold on to it and I can't get it out of my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have never looked. I should have never seen it. This is what the work is. It is looking at the things you've been ignoring or didn't know existed or you were afraid to look at, and looking them in the face and saying, now that I know, I can't pretend I don't know anymore. And I now have some decisions to make about how I move forward. Okay. I think, oh my gosh, yes, it's finally working. Yes. Okay, because before Facebook was like not trying to share my stuff. Now it is. We're cool. I'm going to start doing makeup for real this time. And I'm just checking to see if we have comments. If you are, oh, no, we're good. Okay. So far, so good. All right. So I will try to tell you the brands that I'm using as I go. And if I forget, just ask and I'll let you know what I'm using. That includes tools and actual, and the makeup itself. So I'm going to start with foundation. I'm using Estee Lauder, which is owned by L'Oreal. So let's talk about that. It's amazing what you learn. And one of the things that you will learn if you're paying attention, if you're curious, parent companies. So there are a ton of brands that are owned by other brands. L'Oreal is a powerhouse. A lot of people don't know that. You think maybe like L'Oreal Paris that you see in the drugstore, right? Or in the grocery store. It's easy, it's accessible, you can find it just about anywhere. Y'all, they own like everybody. They own a ton of stuff. So L'Oreal, as a parent company, they own a lot. I'm going to give you some names. So if you're curious and you want to know, this is you learning. I also want to make sure that you understand that this is kind of similar to learning about like people's families. And I say that in a way, well, like what I mean by that is, have you ever met somebody who was great? And then you find out that they are related to somebody else that you know who is great. And you're like, oh, it makes sense now. Of course they're related. You know what I'm saying? Where like there's just a connection of, oh, it makes sense that this person would be great because this person's great. And so if they are in connection with each other, they kind of have like those expectations, right? Okay, so L'Oreal, let's see here. NYX, Maybelline, Carol's Daughter, Essie, Garnier, Dermablend, Vichy, Soft Sheen Carson, L'Oreal Paris, Yves Saint Laurent, Urban Decay, Lancome. It Cosmetics, Kiehl's, Clarisonic, Ralph Lauren, Prenza Schuler. Y'all, I misspoke. I was thinking Lancome. L'Oreal owns Lancome. Estee Lauder owns like everything else. So sorry about that. But still, so that you know, L'Oreal also owns Balayage, Mizani, Maison Margiela, Shuimura, Parology, Kerastase, Matrix, Giorgio Armani. The list goes on. Yeah, really. I know, right? They own a lot. So what happens, it goes a little bit, it goes a few different ways. One of the things that can happen is if a company is ready to expand and they're trying to expand internationally and they don't have the systems or the people necessary to make that expansion. Sometimes that company will sell to a larger company who can do those things. Other times, some entrepreneurs are just ready to make big bank. Like it's just the time. It's time for them to either give the company to somebody who has more opportunities, more money, more of everything to get them to the next step. So that can happen. That like It Cosmetics sold for a ridiculous amount of money. And I mean like billions with a B. Like, y'all, look it up. It's incredible. So, I just told you about all of those places, right? Like I told you about L'Oreal. Estee Lauder, like I said, I misspoke. Estee Lauder owns a ton of other brands. They own MAC. They own... I don't have that information. I'm sorry. But they own like a whole bunch, a big set of the rest of them, okay? So, now that you know that, what can happen is whatever that parent company believes, remember, they own all of the other companies, so you want to keep that in mind and think through whatever their position is, they are going to be making a statement for all of the brands beneath them. You know, makes sense. We're going to do Tarte Shape Tape, and this is where we're going to start to get controversial. And I use this concealer for 2 reasons. 3 reasons? A few reasons. Okay. Reason number 1, it is really hard to find drugstore concealer. If you have darker skin, finding drugstore concealer is horrendous. It is so hard because a lot of those brands are not making products that are going to be that pigmented. And they will give you all sorts of reasons. And the only reason that I actually am going to accept and that does truly make sense is... Actually, that's not true. The only reason why you can't find some of them, which is the reason I will accept, is because of demographics. Although, a lot of times, the demographics are crap. And what I mean by that is, they're going to stock certain stores based on the people who live in those neighborhoods, in those areas. So, if there aren't a lot of people of color who live in a particular area, it doesn't really make sense to stock with a lot of darker shades if those people don't live there because it's just going to sit on the shelf. It isn't going to sell. That part makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is how I literally went, this was at my previous home. I went 2 minutes down the street at one particular Walmart looking for something. Looking for a Maybelline foundation. I've always bought it there. They had my color. It was totally fine. New Walmart opened up like, I don't know, 8 minutes down the street, opposite direction. And for the first time, I saw like 4 shades beyond. I thought it stopped at my shade or like 1 shade after mine. There were 4 shades beyond that. And I was like, I didn't even know these existed. Did they just expand their range? What just happened? No. Based on the demographics, it just looks like people who live in my area, it just does they don't need to make those. And I'm like, oh, okay. What? So there's a lot of pieces involved. I just want you to be mindful of that. So back to Tarte. Tarte got in trouble. They should have been in trouble. I agree with them being in trouble. So we're going to talk about Rihanna's Fenty Beauty. We're going to talk about Tarte. We're going to compare the two for a specific reason, because earlier I made mention of how there are brands that step up. And when they step up, it causes other brands to have to step up too. Oh yeah, Steph, look for it. It's fascinating when you start paying attention to what ranges are available from one store to another, and sometimes just a few miles away, you're like, how did they make that decision? But like, really, how? It's shocking. So, Rihanna, she started Fenty Beauty in the fall of 2017. I just want to make sure that my notes are correct. I believe that's the right 2017. And she launched with foundation. And she had, I want y'all to guess. It says right now there's at least 6 people watching. I want you in the comments. I want you to guess how many foundation shades she had. If you know, you can say. It's totally fine. But if you don't know, I want you to think about how many shades of foundation would be necessary for like everybody to be included. Just put a number in there. Go ahead. Don't worry about having to be right. It's not about that. It's just about us getting an idea of what number seems possible, reasonable. Yeah, I hear you, Steph, for real. I'm going to give you a few seconds to put some numbers in there. Think you're nervous. 10. Okay, cool. We're starting with 10. We've got a 10. Who else? 30. We've got a 30. What else? Come on, give me some numbers. What are we thinking? 25. Okay. We have from 10 to, we've got a 26. We got from 10 to 25, to 10 to 30. Last few seconds, 15. Hey, Safira. Hey, Court. Okay. Y'all, 40. 40. She launched with 40 shades. 40. Like, who does that? I saw that and I was like, she is a boss. Straight up. First thought. I was like, this is going to change everything. People are not going to know what to do with that. And I'm telling you, they did not, because they bought everything. They bought everything. Like, it was ridiculous. I could not find my shade of foundation for like a real long time. Like, I literally stopped looking. I would just randomly, when I was in a Sephora, just browse through and be like, first of all, you couldn't get to the Sephora area, the Fenty Beauty area in the Sephora, because it was always packed with people. You could not get there. Could not get there. And then, once you did, you would see like, oh, right, my color's gone. Cool. Never mind. But I'm telling you, I wasn't mad. And the only reason I wasn't mad is because she was proving the point that Black women have been trying to make for the longest time, which is we buy everything. Like, Black women make up a huge amount of the beauty industry, billions of dollars. So the idea that some of these brands have in their minds that we don't purchase the makeup is foolish. And what really is happening for a lot of women, and I know this because you all tell me this and I then teach you to do otherwise, is a lot of you are buying makeup, it doesn't end up working out for you, and then you just let it sit there. You never go back and get your money, you don't return anything, you just eat the cost, and then you do the same thing over and over again. This isn't a shaming moment. This is an acknowledgement of the fact that you will continue to purchase until you find the right thing. It doesn't stop you. It doesn't deter you. You keep trying. And they still don't make makeup for us. And it's stupid. It's stupid as all get out. It doesn't make any sense. It is the dumbest financial decision a business could make. But they do it all the time. And instead, Rihanna was like, we're going to give them 40. And we bought it all. And still do. Still do. It's ridiculous. It's so hard. Oh my gosh. So let's go back to Tarte. This is gonna be uncomfortable. I'm warning you now. So, I'm gonna tell you, it was uncomfortable for me for like 5 minutes, and then I got over it. And I'll tell you why that is too. So, Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. It's amazing. I buy this because it is beautiful and it works. And it is very hard to find a drugstore concealer that is going to be dark enough, is also going to be the right undertone, and is not going to look cakey or pasty or have a reaction or move around my mascara, because yes, certain combinations of stuff can do that, and that's not pretty. Well, they decided they were going to launch their Shape Tape foundation. People were excited. Y'all, the beauty community gets hyped. Like, beauty community, they are all about launches. Like, we want all the things. Although recently, like the last few years, it's been just like a dumping ground of let me give you more and more and more. And people are like, okay, like enough. That's a lot. Could we space it out a little bit? Like, I haven't even gotten to use the last thing you put out. So it was like, check the notes, January of 2018. So that's important. I want you to keep track of the timing, okay? September 2017, Rihanna. Okay, so we have September, October, November, December, January. 4 months later, Tarte Shape Tape comes out with the Shape Tape foundation. Now, I've always been able to find my shade of concealer, no problem. Okay, came up with the foundation. It's time for another guessing game. How many shades do you think they came out with? And go. Give me some numbers while I set my concealer. Now, I've told you the standard that Rihanna set with Fenty Beauty was 40. They came out with 40. That was a shock, but a great one. How many do you think Tarte came out with? Now, Tarte had been around for a long time. Like, let's see. Tarte Cosmetics. Trying to get you. It was founded in 1999. Okay? So, just to let you know, 1999. That's how long Tarte has been around. Oh, you guys are afraid. Oh, come on. Buck up. You can do it. Come on, give me a number. A number. I know. You were like, well, it was hard enough before, but now I just don't know that I can give the low numbers. Go ahead. It's okay. It's safe. This is a safe space, y'all. No one's being judged. No one's being given a hard time. That is something I am just not about. So if you came to this live for the first time and you don't know me, like, seriously, safe space. Everything's good. But please tell me a number that you think, because right now you're crickets, and I want a little. I'm a teacher. I kind of need like class participation. I'm sorry, but it's real. I'm gonna give you like, okay, there you go, 8. Awesome. We've got a starting point. Anyone else? Anyone else have an idea? How many foundations did Tarte come out with? Full line. Okay. Ooh, we have another 8. Okay, so we're in agreement. We think 8. Okay. Anyone else? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, y'all are going with 8. It was better than 8. It was 15. Huh? 15 shades. Okay, well, I mean, 40 is more, right? It's almost 3 times more. But okay, 15's a starting point. Except guess how many were for people who are darker than Rihanna? Actually, not even. 3. They had 3. They had 3 deep to dark shades. 3. Oh, like, so if we were just to compare me, one of my nieces, my aunt, and my grandmother, the 4 of us are all completely different shades of brown. And from that shade range, because I looked at it carefully, and because this is what I do, not one of us could have used any of those 3 colors and been close to the right shade match. Because they only offered 3. Y'all, people lost it. They were upset. And of course, they couldn't help but make the comparison. Why? Well, because Rihanna had just blown it out of the park. Like, she literally said, hey, here's what you do. Now, everybody else, don't screw it up. Now, what I know to be true is that line had already been in production. There was no way they were going to have enough time from the 4 months ahead that Rihanna was like, bam, 40 shades, here you go. They could not have taken back everything and reformulated, blah, blah, blah. The point is, they should have never launched with only 15 shades in the first place, let alone with only 3 of them being even close to something that anyone with slightly darker skin could use. That was laughable and embarrassing and rude. But they did it anyway. That happened. So, as a white person, I need you to just think that through for a moment. Like, if that were your experience, that was your regular experience, that you are looking for makeup. And I'm not even talking about looking for makeup that is like colorful and glittery and expressive and fun. I'm talking about like the basics, right? I just did foundation. I did a little eyebrow. I did concealer and powder. If you were just looking for the everyday essentials and you couldn't find your color over and over and over and over again, but you were eager and you were willing and you kept spending the money over and over and over and over again, would you feel like your beauty was a priority to anyone else? Would you feel like you mattered to the beauty community, that there were companies who were interested in what would work for you or what you liked? Because I'm not looking for you to answer that question here, but I'm looking for you to ask that question of yourself. Because the message that I have received over and over and over again is that it doesn't matter. That me wanting to make myself feel good and look really good isn't a priority. Do you think it's corporations not willing to invest in the inventory or companies not designing the products? It's both. The idea of not wanting to invest in the inventory is, in my mind, just saying like, well, we don't know any better and we're scared. Like, we don't know if Black women will buy from us and we're scared that they won't, so we're not even going to try. But what that also tells me is they're also not willing to ask. They're not willing to ask because asking gets you some information. If anyone had asked me, like, hey, Keela, would you be interested in this concealer, but as a foundation, like in your shade as a foundation, to be like, Oh yeah, make it. I'll buy it over and over and over again. Because you know what? I have bought this over and over and over again. And y'all, this is like $29. It's a ridiculously expensive amount of money for a concealer. I've at least bought 4 tubes of this. I buy it every single time. Hasn't deterred me. Now, what they did with the foundation, it made me pause. Definitely made me pause. I'm kind of still pausing to a certain extent. But they're working on it. And this is where everyone doesn't feel the same. For some black people, screw me once, I'm out. They're not giving you another chance. You messed up, and we have seen that you don't care about us, and I'm not worrying about you anymore. Done. Tarte lost a huge... I don't have the numbers to support that, so let me take that back. Tarte lost some customers. I will say that. Tarte lost respect, and people don't talk about Tarte the way they used to. They absolutely do not. I am more so of the mindset of, wow, you screwed that one up. Let's see what you're going to do. Let's give you a chance. Try to fix it. And they did. But I only buy their concealer. Now they are the one product brand for me. I was willing to expand, but I will buy your concealer. And that's all you're going to get from me. I'm not going to buy anything else. Whereas there are other brands that I bought one thing, it was great. I bought another thing, it was great. I will keep buying because everything's great. That's what happened with NARS. NARS makes an incredible concealer. And I was like, ooh, you're really great. Let's try your blush. I love their blush. It's amazing. Oh, that's really great. Let's buy some lipstick. I have their lipstick. It's just not in here. It's really great. I keep buying more and more and more, which is what you want as a business. You want people to say, I'm satisfied with your product. What else have you got for me? So that's what they should be focusing on, but it's not what they did. They screwed it up. And a lot of people were like, well, we tried and you didn't. So we're done. Now let's talk about Almay. Okay. I have very strong feelings about this company. They are not good. I'm just going to let you know that right now. Almay to me is one of the most problematic beauty brands in my lifetime. And the reason why is because they do not care. They do not care about black people, in my opinion. They care about now trying to get money from black people because they have seen it be effective for others. And that to me is the only reason that they have suddenly, over the last year or so, started to offer makeup cosmetics, like complexion products, like foundation, that is going to work on any person of color that is of a darker skin tone and can't pass for being white. They have had years of opportunity to do better, and they never take the opportunity, ever. But it's like suddenly, over the last couple of years, right? Fenty Beauty came out, and people were expecting that brands were going to do more. They were going to be more inclusive. They were going to have larger shade ranges. They were going to, that was the call to action. A lot of brands either were already going in that direction or they stepped up. And then Almay, in my opinion, was like, we don't give a flying fig. We don't care. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And to an extent, I respect that. Like, if that's where you're at, do you. I understand that Almay isn't making anything for me, so I'm not wasting my time looking for them. I'm not checking for them. I'm not worried about them at all. I, though, did get the message and stopped purchasing any of their products. Like, I don't care that they make lip products that might be nice. I stopped using their makeup wipes. I'm not interested in anything they have to offer because they're not offering anything for me beyond the, like, swipe of mascara. So, no thank you. But then they started making foundation, and they also started to hop on the bandwagon because it was not lost on me when I saw, because I went looking in preparation for this to see, like, what have they said about Black Lives Matter? Oh, they participated in Blackout Tuesday, and they had some statement or other about how they believe in diversity or something like that. People have things to say about that too, and I'm happy to share with you that they posted about their clear complexion foundation, and the first comment was, "You realize you haven't posted a dark-skinned black person in 5 months." 5 months? That's like almost half a year. In almost half a year, it's crossed nobody's mind on their marketing team, on their social media team, on their, I don't know, like in their upper, like there's nowhere in the vice president, no one ever in their company said, we should be posting more people of color, especially since we now have products that they can use. No? It's not a thing? Really? Really? Or do they have some people of color who work there who have been saying things and they just are ignoring them? Because that happens too. And if you don't know that that's happening, now you can say that you know. If you have any people of color in any particular business, if they feel that they can speak up without losing their job or losing respect or losing some kind of position, because that's a real thing, there is a very good chance that they are being shut down. Because it is happening all the time. There are also people who are saying, you don't sell any makeup in my shade. Start there. Or they say, extend your shade ranges. Include dark-skinned people in your product development and in your marketing. And Almay did respond to the first person and said, thank you for calling us / this out. This feedback helps us make progressive changes to continue to strive for more inclusion. This is important for us to learn and be better. We have work to do and appreciate you being direct and honest with us. Okay. I'm still not buying anything from you. See, that's one company that I'm like, I've been paying attention and you have not shown or demonstrated over time, and I'm talking years, over years, you have not shown that it matters to you at all. So for you to suddenly seem like it does, I don't believe you, because there hasn't been enough time for you to show with your actions that you have changed. And so if you, as a white person right now, are listening and you are saying, I'm ready to do the work, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want things to be better, I don't want to continue in the way that I have, I want to be able to step up and speak up and do more. If you are receiving any pushback from any people of color, or even some of your white friends who are further along that journey than you are, I want you to understand that it's going to take time. It's going to take time for you to demonstrate through your actions that it matters. So a friend of mine she is a white woman. She is always looking to learn and grow. She posts books that she reads regularly. So it would be no surprise to me if she started to post about a book that she is reading about white privilege or about racism. It's just something that she's already doing. She's already reading all the time, posting about books that she reads all the time. Now, if you have not been posting or ever talking about donating to anywhere, and suddenly you're talking about donating to the NAACP and donating to the George Floyd funds and stuff that are out there, and that's not your typical behavior, some people might be wary of that. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. That doesn't mean that you should not look into that. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue down that path. Just understand it's new behavior. And when anyone sees new behavior, you're like, that's new. And you're curious if that is a momentary behavior or if this is a new path. So if you want it to be a new path, you just have to demonstrate that that's what you're doing over time. That's all that's going to happen. You're just going to need time. And hopefully people will allow you to do that without giving you a hard time about it. But receiving pushback is part of the job. Like, it's just what happens. And it's uncomfortable. It's not unsafe. It's uncomfortable. So, like, let's just since we're here, let's clear that crap out right now. What happens in a lot of conversations that make white people feel nervous, anxious, tense, sweaty, wanting to escape, right? That is being uncomfortable. And what happens a lot is that white people will say that they feel unsafe. You are not unsafe. So please stop saying that. You are not in danger. No one is trying to hurt you. You are uncomfortable. And discomfort will go away the more you practice anything. You're probably uncomfortable the first time you tried to play an instrument. You're maybe uncomfortable the first time that you had swimming lessons. You're maybe uncomfortable the first time that you started at a new job. But you did not say that you were unsafe. You did not feel unsafe. You felt uncomfortable. Please be clear with your language that when you feel unsafe, it is because there is imminent danger. When you feel uncomfortable, that is something completely different. So they are aware but have chosen to ignore. Yes, Saphira, that's exactly what's happened. They're aware. They just are like, we're just going to kind of act like that's not a thing that's happening. Okay. I don't want to have missed anything, so let me just double check my notes. Oh, this is the best part. This is the best part. What happens when people are fed up or ready for change or actually take their agency, their power, their creativity, and their platforms, and they use them to make things better? You get things such as what is right now happening, which is hashtag pull up or shut up. Y'all, this is amazing. So, Sharon, I don't want to mispronounce her name, but I do not know how to pronounce her name. I have not heard it, so I can't say. Sharon Chuter, Chuter of Oma Beauty. She started a new movement, a new call to action, and on Instagram, it's at Pull Up for Change. And the hashtag that you can search is pull up or shut up. And what the call is for brands, for beauty brands, to be explicit and transparent about their numbers. How many Black people do they have working in their companies at all levels, and especially in the higher levels? And so brands are posting. They are sharing, and the other thing is that she is urging people to press those companies to share those demographics, to share the numbers, and basically like pull up or shut up. If they are not willing to share, then to stop having the position that Black Lives Matter. Like, just stop saying that you support us if you're not willing to share that information. Pull up or shut up. Like, either speak on it or stop talking altogether. I'm for it. And the numbers are fascinating. So I'm going to give you some information. And what they do, if you go to @PullUpForChange on Instagram, they share all of the brands that have been posting their numbers, and you can see, and it's fascinating. What they've done though is they're also really supportive, and they're saying they'll say things like, thank you for the transparency, and they'll just post like, Kylie Cosmetics pulled up 13% black representation in leadership team consists of Kylie Jenner and Kris Jenner. So you will know, some of them will give, some companies are giving specific numbers, like they will tell you how many people, and then you can tell based on the percentage, like, oh, so that's like one person. Others are just giving percentages, but still, it's information, and it helps you be a little bit more aware. So, for example, Beauty Blender. I just used one of those babies to do my makeup. 9% black representation and 6% in leadership. So, we proudly share that Beauty Blender is solely owned by a Latina. Our force of a corporate team is 76% female identified, 30% black, indigenous, person of color, people of color, 9% of which is black, and 6% of our leadership team is black. And then some companies have also shared more information about their commitment to do better or to expand, etc. So here is your action step, because with these 85 Beauty Talks videos, I normally give some kind of action step. These are also typically short. They're normally less than 15 minutes. But we're just talking about bigger, more important things recently. So some of these are longer, and I hope that the information was helpful. But your action step is, the next time you make a makeup purchase, I want you to look at the shade range of their complexion products. Look at the shade range of foundation, the shade range of powder, because powder is another really hard thing to find. As a darker skinned person, finding face powder is horrendous. It's so hard. You find one, you're like, never wasting my money on anything else again. Buy it forever. That's really tricky. But look at those things. And if the shade range is disappointing to you, I want you to ask yourself if that's a company that you want to continue to support financially. And then make your own choice. I told you about the Tarte thing. Like with Tarte, I'm like, I will continue to buy their concealer because it's great. And I'm not trying to make it more complicated than that. And that's my personal stance. Perhaps you find out that there's a company that just isn't doing, they're not as inclusive as you would like them to be. And then that's where you kind of like put your stake, and you're like, that's it. I'm not willing to contribute anymore. That is your choice. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not asking you to say like, if I'm not happy, then I'm not going to spend my money there. I'm asking you to ask yourself, where do you stand? And if you find that you start looking at all of these different companies and the shade range, and you realize, wow, I'm really not happy with this, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to reach out? Are you going to use your white privilege to speak up and say, hey, can you add more shades? I would like this to be a more diverse line. I would like you to do more. Like, go on Instagram, make your voice heard, send a letter, send an email, send a DM, do some things to say, if you want change, speak up. But become more aware. And also, like, go to Instagram and find, like, Pull Up for Change. It's amazing. There's a lot of brands that are sharing really important information. Gloria! I think that concerns about me, companies stating Black Lives Matter, it's just a statement. I like knowing that behind that statement are people who want change and really believe what they are saying. Yes, I agree. It makes a huge difference because I am very aware as a Black woman which companies are doing things and which aren't. Oh, I lied, by the way. This is from Tarte. I have bought another thing. And the reason that I bought this is because it is vegan, and it's really hard to find eye makeup that doesn't have carmine in it. So we all have our struggles. We all have like different boundaries and parameters around how we need to shop for things. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was, I hope it challenged you without overwhelming you. And as always, if you have questions, if you just want to like have more dialogue, let me know. You can DM me, you can leave a comment. I am here to help and to educate you and to also just make makeup more fun. So have an amazing night. I will see you super soon. And as always, stay fabulous. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, y'all.